Welcome back to the channel, coin enthusiasts. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of UK 1 penny coins minted during the reign of King George VI. These coins hold a special place in numismatic history, and some of them have become highly sought after by collectors. Let's count down the top 4 rarest and most valuable 1 penny coins from the King George VI era. 1935 UK 1 penny. The 1935 UK 1 penny features the portrait of King George V, the British monarch at the time. This coin is part of the long-running British penny series, which has been around for centuries, but today we're honing in on the 1935 version, a coin from an important time in British history. On the obverse or front side of the coin, you'll see a profile of King George V, who reigned from 1910 until his death in 1936. The inscription around his portrait reads Georgius V. Dei Grae Brit Amen Rex Fidef in Emp, which translates to George V, by the grace of God, King of all Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India, pretty regal.
Right.
Now, on the reverse, we have the classic image of Britannia seated with her shield and trident. This symbol of British strength and protection had been a hallmark of the penny for many years. Below Britannia is the year of minting 1935. Let's take a step back in time to 1935. King George V was nearing the end of his reign, and the world was still recovering from the Great Depression. The British Empire, though vast, was starting to feel the pressures of global economic and political changes. This penny, produced during a period of transition, reflects a significant era in British history, especially as King George V's death in 1936 would eventually lead to the brief reign of his son, Edward VIII, and the famous abdication crisis. So when you hold a 1935 penny, you're holding a piece of that pivotal time. Now, let's talk about the technical details. The 1935 UK 1 penny is made from 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc, a common composition for pennies of that era. Its diameter is 30.8 mm, and it weighs 9.45 grams. Over time, these coins can develop a nice patina due to the copper content, which can affect its appearance and value. Coins in better condition, especially with minimal wear and tear, are always more desirable to collectors. All right. Let's get to the part you've been waiting for. What is the 1935 UK 1 penny worth today? Well, the value of this coin depends on its condition, or what we call grade in the coin collecting world. A worn 1935 penny in lower grades, such as good or fine, might fetch around PS1 to PS5, but if you have a well-preserved coin in extremely fine condition, it could be worth up to PS2 or more. And if you're lucky enough to have an uncirculated version with no wear, you're looking at values around PS50 to PS1000 or possibly higher at auction. However, it's important to note that prices fluctuate depending on market demand, the specific characteristics of your coin, and the interest of collectors at the time. 1916 UK 1 penny. Let's talk about the history behind the 1916 UK 1 penny. By 1916, World War I was in full swing, and the United Kingdom was deeply involved in the global conflict. This period brought numerous changes to the British economy, including the coins in circulation. Though this penny was minted in the midst of war, its design remained largely consistent with other pennies minted before and after. The UK penny, including the 1916 version, features the iconic Britannia, the personification of Britain. Britannia sits holding a trident and shield, symbolizing British naval power. King George V, who reigned from 1910 to 1936, is featured on the obverse or head side with a portrait designed by Bertram McKennell. This copper coin represents not only the era's artistic craftsmanship, but also Britain's enduring strength during turbulent times. The 1916 penny wasn't particularly rare when it was first minted, as millions were produced, but there are certain factors that can make these coins highly collectible today. Now let's talk about the part we're all waiting for, the value of a 1916 penny today. Like all coins, the value of a 1916 penny depends on a few key factors: its condition, rarity, and demand among collectors. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from good, which is heavily worn and not very valuable, all the way up to uncirculated, where the coin shows no signs of wear and is in pristine condition. A 1916 UK penny in good condition might fetch anywhere from PS1 to PS3, depending on market demand. On the other hand, a penny in extremely fine condition can sell for upwards of PS20 to PS20 to PS50. And if you're lucky enough to have an uncirculated version, the value could reach PS1000 or more. But remember, rarity also plays a role. While millions of these pennies were minted, some might have unique characteristics like misprints or mint errors, which can add significant value. So, if you're thinking about adding a 1916 UK penny to your collection, here are a few tips. First, always check for minting errors. Any unusual details, such as a misaligned strike, can greatly increase the value of your coin. Second, try to find the coin in the best condition possible. Even minor wear can lower its value significantly. Finally, always store your coins properly. Keep them in protective cases and away from moisture to prevent corrosion. By following these simple steps, you can preserve your penny's value for years to come. Before we wrap up, here are some fun facts about the 1916 UK penny. Did you know that this coin is made from bronze with 95% copper? The rest is made up of tin and zinc. Also, the penny weighed 9.4 grams, making it heavier than today's 1p coin. And one last interesting tidbit: by 1916, the penny had been in circulation for over 50 years with Britannia on the reverse, showing the coin's long-standing cultural significance in Britain. 1928 UK 1 penny. Today we're focusing on a coin that holds a special place in British history, the 1928 UK 1 penny. In this video, we'll cover its design, the historical context, and its current value in the collector's market. So stay tuned. Let's start by taking a closer look at the design. The 1928 penny features two iconic designs that were standard on British pennies at the time. On the obverse, that's the head side, you'll see a portrait of King George V, the reigning monarch of the time. This engraving was done by Bertram McKennell and shows the king in profile facing left. Around the portrait, the inscription reads Georgives v Diagre Brit Amen Rex Fi DFE and MP, which is Latin for George V, by the grace of God, King of all Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. Quite a mouthful.
Right.
On the reverse, the tail side, we have Britannia, a personification of Britain. She's seated with a shield in one hand and a trident in the other, representing British naval power. Below her is the word 1 penny in the year 1928. This design was used on pennies from 1860 all the way to 1970, making it a long-standing symbol of the British Empire. Now let's talk about what was happening in Britain when this coin was minted. The year 1928 was in the interwar period, a time of relative peace but also economic challenges. King George V had been on the throne since 1910, and Britain was still dealing with the aftermath of World War I. While the country was trying to rebuild, the British Empire was still vast, and its currency, like this penny, was used all around the world. This penny, like others minted during this era, reflects the stability of British coinage and the influence of Britain on global trade. So how many of these 1928 pennies were minted? And how rare are they? Well, approximately 50 million pennies were struck that year. This makes the 1928 penny not particularly rare in terms of mintage numbers. However, its condition, often referred to as its grade, can make a huge difference in its value today. When assessing the value of a coin like this, collectors consider the coin's condition. A well-worn 1928 penny might only be worth a few pounds or dollars, but if you find one in mint condition, meaning it has almost no wear and looks brand new, its value can be significantly higher. So, what's the current value of the 1928 UK 1 penny? In average circulated condition, these coins typically sell for around PS1 to PS5, depending on the wear. However, if you come across one in extremely fine or even uncirculated condition, the value can go up to PS25 or more. The market for these coins is quite active, and collectors often look for pennies with minimal wear and strong details on both the obverse and reverse. Another thing to keep in mind is whether the coin has any unique characteristics like errors or unusual markings. While the 1928 penny doesn't have any notable mint errors that would make it more valuable, it's always a good idea to carefully inspect your coin. 1913 UK 1 penny. The year was 1913, and on the throne of the United Kingdom sat King George V. After a tumultuous early 20th century, with the rise of industrialization and global tension, the UK's coinage continued to evolve. The 1913 penny was part of a series minted under the reign of King George V, often referred to as the Georgia coin in numismatic circles, after the monarch's name. The 1913 1 penny is unique because it reflects a period of stability before the outbreak of World War I the following year. This coin is copper, with a weight of 9.45 grams and a diameter of 30.8 millimeters. The design remained relatively consistent throughout George V's reign, featuring his effigy on the obverse and the iconic seated Britannia on the reverse. Let's take a closer look at the details of the 1913 1 penny. On the obverse, we have the classic portrait of King George V, designed by Bertram McKennell. The inscription around the king reads Georgives v Diagre Brit Amen Rex Fi DF Een Imp, which is Latin for George V, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. Quite a title. On the reverse, we see the seated figure of Britannia holding her trident and shield, with the inscription 1 penny at the top and the year 1913 below. This symbol of British strength and unity had been a staple of the penny design for decades and is one of the most iconic images in British coinage. Now let's talk mintage. In 1913, the Royal Mint struck 47,940,000 pennies. While that number may sound high, the coin's condition plays a major role in determining its rarity and value today. As with any collectible coin, the more pristine the condition, the more valuable it is. Coins graded as uncirculated or in mint state MS condition can fetch significantly higher prices compared to worn or circulated versions. So, what's the value of a 1913 UK 1 penny today? Well, it depends on the coin's grade. Here's a rough breakdown based on condition. Heavily worn good to very good condition, these coins typically fetch $1 to $5 USD. Fine to very fine condition coins in this range sell for around $10 to $20 USD. Extremely fine condition XF, these pennies can be valued at $40 to $60 USD. In uncirculated condition MS high grade examples, particularly in MS 60 or higher, can command prices anywhere from $100 to $300 USD or even more, depending on market demand. Of course, these prices can vary slightly depending on the auction house dealer or the current state of the numismatic market. Coins with unique features, such as misstrikes or significant die variations, could be worth even more to specialized collectors.